Hey guys, Mark here. In this video, I'm going to talk about when I stopped giving an F. That is the moment when I started making the most amount of money. Now, this is a really interesting law because it sounds completely backward, right? How could you possibly be more successful if you're less detached? Well, let me ask you something. If you do a little search on YouTube for the best way to achieve your goals, the best way to be successful, you'll probably find something along the lines of this, right? Where you should read self-help books, or you should be visualizing your goals, or you should say stuff like, I'm going to make 10K a month. And you just repeat that to yourself over and over and over again. But this is literally the worst way that you could possibly actually achieve your goals. Well, probably not the worst, but it's definitely not the best way to achieve your goals. And I'm speaking from experience. There was actually a point in my life where I was perhaps the most disciplined I have ever been when it comes to success. I had read Think and Grow Rich. I was waking up early. I was meditating twice a day. I was reading books. I was obsessing over my goal. That period of time was also a period of time that I made the least amount of money that I've ever made in my entire life. In fact, I was actually losing money because I was running my business. But the more that I dove into this self-help, development, visualize your goals, all this shit, my business just started tanking. It's actually a really interesting thing to look back on. And I didn't understand it for years. I never understood it. And then I started to invest in some of the top mentors when it comes to your mindset in the world. I literally paid one of the top NLP coaches in the world to coach me on my mindset. And it wasn't until I had this conversation with her that I understood why I wasn't successful during this time period. And the main reason why I wasn't successful, even though I was doing all the things that I thought you're supposed to be doing, comes down to the law of detachment. You see, when you're super obsessive about your goals, the problem is you are actually creating attachment to your goals. It got to the point where one of my goals was to make a certain amount of money. And so I would sit down every single day, I would meditate, and I would literally visualize myself achieving that goal, like opening my laptop and seeing that amount of money inside of my bank account. And the thought of me not achieving that goal like triggered literal anxiety in me because that's how serious I was about achieving that goal. Now, did I actually achieve it? I fucking didn't. I wasn't even fucking close. And I remember the spirit of my time because I was broke as all hell and I just couldn't understand what I was doing wrong. But now I know, and I'm here to enlighten you beautiful people. All right. Problem with doing stuff like this, specifically these bottom two, right? Self-help books, there's nothing inherently wrong with them aside from the fact that they all basically say the same thing, but that's a topic for another video. The main problem with you visualizing yourself achieving your goals and repeating yourself, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It doesn't matter if it's a financial goal, physical goal, whatever. Like, I'm going to get in shape. It doesn't matter. What you're essentially doing when you're saying stuff like this is you are reaffirming your existing state of reality. And there's one thing that we know about the law of attraction, say what you will. I think we can all agree that the universe is a mirror, okay? The universe is going to mirror back to you what you are yourself, whether that's good or whether that is bad. And if you are constantly saying to yourself, I'm gonna make 10K a month, I'm gonna be a millionaire, I'm gonna be in shape, the real problem with that is I am going to. What you're really saying is I'm currently not making 10K a month, I'm currently not a millionaire, I'm currently not in shape. And you're just reaffirming that to the universe over and over and over again. And that is literally entrenching you in the same bullshit position that you've been for the majority of your life. As the saying goes, your external reality is a reflection of the thoughts that are going on in your brain, especially your subconscious thought. And if you're constantly reaffirming to yourself that you're not all these things that you want to be, how can you expect to actually be those things? So what you need to do is completely flip it on its head. Okay, so I have created what I believe to be one of the most scientifically accurate charts here that has existed in the face of the earth. And this is ultimately what I call the try hard versus the Chad matrix. Okay, the try hard on the left hand side here is essentially everything that I was doing wrong. I felt like I was doing everything right, yet I wasn't making any fucking money. So the first thing that I was really doing is I was obsessing over my goals. Like, I would literally write down my annual goals. I'd chunk it down into months. I would then chunk that down into weeks and chunk it down to the day. And every single day that I didn't make that amount of money, it was self-destructive. It's difficult to go through that when you're constantly reminded how shit you are. That is a tough thing to fucking deal with. Every single day you sit down, you do your reflection on the day, and you fail day after day after day. I was literally centering my identity around being a fucking failure and not being the person that I know I needed to be. What I should have been doing was basically setting my goal, borderline forgetting about it. All right, think about it. When you place an order on Amazon, you add the product to your cart, you check out. Do you check your Amazon order page every single 5 minutes of the day to make sure that the order is actually going to show up to your doorstep? No, of course not. You literally click the order and then in 2 or 3 days, it fucking shows up. There's not a thought in your mind if that order is not going to show up. This is the same way that you should be setting goals. You should set it once, but then you shouldn't be revisiting that goal day after day, hour after hour, week after week. Forget about it. You set the goal, it's entrenched in your brain, and then you focus every other ounce of your energy and of your effort on the inputs around being the type of person that actually has a reality that you want. So if your goal is to make 10K a month, you don't obsess about making 10K a month every single day, every hour of the day, every week, not even every month. There was literally a point in time where I started, actually figuring out how to set my goals, where I wouldn't think about that goal for a month, for multiple months on end. Yet when the time frame actually happened, where I did make that money, I was like, oh shit, I did it. And I did it even faster than I was expecting to. But that wouldn't have happened if I was just obsessive about the goal day in and day out. You have to focus all that other energy on actually the process, on the inputs, the things that you can actually control. Another thing that the tryhards do, you focus on visualizing your goals, right? Meditating. You do all the woo-woo shit. You shout your affirmations in the mirror. But what you really should be doing is just focusing on developing your craft. Literally just getting the hard skills that you need. Doing the boring thing every single day that actually gets you towards your goals. The most successful people in the world, they do boring ass shit day in and day out. They're consistent as fuck. They're not giving a fuck about their affirmations, about all this other nonsense, okay? And by the way, it's not affirmations in and of themselves that are the problem. The problem is when you focus the affirmations on the future and you say, I'm going to be this person, I'm going to do that, instead of saying, I am currently this person. Imagine if you're a millionaire and you literally have $1 million cash sitting in your bank account. Are you going to be repeating to yourself, I'm going to be a millionaire? I'm going to be a millionaire. No, because you know in your heart, you're already a millionaire. That's how you need to be thinking. You need to take the mindset of that person. You already have $1 million. Now what? Now how are you going to act? How are you going to go about your day? That's the way you need to fucking think. The tryhard is also extremely calculated and obsessing over the details over his goals, whereas the Chad focuses on what actually matters. So it's, once again, it's just the inputs. I think a lot of you completely underestimate how many reps it takes for you to actually be successful. Take e-commerce, for example, right? When I was getting into e-commerce, I tested 50 products that all failed. 50 in a row. That means I tested one, built the store, built everything, ads, tested, failed. Product two, built the store, built the ad, tested, failed. I did that 50 times without finding a real winner. Now, was I using the best method? Obviously fucking not. But that's to tell you how many reps it can take. I don't know how many reps it's going to take for you, but you probably are underestimating how much effort it's actually going to take for you to get to your goals. The tryhard is also repeating affirmations that affirm his current situation, where the Chad is repeating beliefs and most importantly, acting in accordance with them that affirms the person he's trying to be. Okay, so this is really important about affirmations. If you want to be good at affirmations, right, if that's even a thing, you focus them on your belief system, because everything that you say and do, you're acting in accordance with your beliefs. And most of you watching this video right now, you don't have very empowering beliefs. You don't have beliefs that are leading you towards your goals. You have beliefs that are limiting you. That's why they're called limiting beliefs. The tryhard is chasing his goals, whereas the Chad is letting his goals come to him. Same thing with like the millionaire example. If you believe in a millionaire, you're not shouting in the mirror your affirmation. You just know who you actually are. And at the end of the day, guys, all of this comes down to this, okay? The unsuccessful tryhard is asking, what do I need to do to be successful? Whereas the Chad is saying, who do I need to become? If you act and think and do as a millionaire would for a long enough period of time, you are going to become a millionaire. But most millionaires, they work their fucking ass off. They put in so many reps. They focus all their energy just on the inputs. They work a lot of fucking hours. And I'm speaking from experience. I work a lot of fucking hours, okay? I happen to really enjoy the work that I do, but like I know that more and more money is going to come to me because I am focusing all my energy on my craft and literally just getting better at what I do. And so looking at this chart here, I told you guys a story of when I was a tryhard. A few years ago, I decided to set goals in a different way. I actually did use this set it and forget it method. And I had a goal where I was trying to make what most people would consider fuck you money. It was a very difficult goal for me to do, but I set it anyways. And I achieved that goal in like 9 months. I had 12 months blocked out and I achieved it in 9. And when I did, it didn't even feel as hard. I was working my ass off, yes, but I wasn't like obsessing over my goal because I wasn't telling the universe over and over and over again that I'm not the person that deserves to achieve this goal. That is the biggest difference. And this all comes back to the law of detachment. And this is a really difficult thing, especially for people that are new to entrepreneurship and making money online, to really tussle with. Because I'll tell you a story. When I was broke, literally like it broke my brain. I was like, how can I possibly detach from money when money is all I can fucking think about? Money is all that I need. I need money to pay my fucking rent next month. And you're telling me to detach? That's fucking crazy. It is crazy. And that's why most people are never successful, because they continue to think that way. This is a very, very backwards law. Like, it doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense in the sense that you are reflecting to the universe what you are yourself. And if you continue to say, I'm not this person, you're not going to be that person. If you keep saying, I'm not a millionaire, you're not going to be a millionaire. And so one thing that I want to do for you guys, what makes most people successful is their belief system. But then the question becomes like, all right, how do I actually build my belief? And like, how do you cement them into your subconscious brain so that you always start to act in accordance with those beliefs? So I actually built this free tool for you guys. You can check out the link in the description, but all you have to do here is you state your goal right here. And what it does, right? Let's say our goal is to make $10,000 a month. Let's say this is our goal. We need to build the belief system around this goal because, again, you don't want to affirm your reality of not making 10K a month. You need to focus it on the inputs, on the process. These are called process-oriented beliefs. And you just hit generate, and you can see down here, these are some example beliefs that you need to have in order to accomplish your goals, right? These are identity beliefs because you always act in accordance with your identity. And all you have to do in that case, change your identity through your belief system, and you'll be able to achieve your goals. And that way, instead of repeating, I'm gonna make 10K a month, I'm gonna make 10K a month, you say, I'm the type of person that maintains focus on what matters most and eliminates distraction. That's just an example. You can play around, you can regenerate all these, you can copy them, or you can completely start over. Ultimately, this is just a way for you to get started, because if you want to become a new person and you want to actually achieve your goals and you're serious about it, you have to start from the ground up. And the ground, the foundation, is your belief system. If you want to shout anything in the mirror, it should be this. And then the second half of that is you have to actually act in accordance with those beliefs. For example, some of the beliefs on here, they're not super easy, right? In fact, one of the beliefs that I hold still to this day very, very close to me is I'm the type of person that always does hard things. I'm always doing hard things because I always want to be disciplined and I want to keep my sword sharp at all times. But that's a difficult thing to act in accordance with. Even something as simple as an ice bath. There was a period last year where I would wake up at 5 a.m. in an ice bath every single day. I remember waking up staring at the fucking 32-degree water that's moving around because I have this thing that like moves the water around, which makes it even colder. And I'm just staring at the water with my shirt off. Every ounce of my being wants me to not get in that fucking water. But because of my belief system, I still have to act in accordance. These are non-negotiables, okay? So you guys can use this tool. The link is in the description. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. And remember, if you want to be super successful and make stupid amounts of money, you have to detach. See you on the next video. Peace.